Daniel Ricciardo was a Red Bull-related topic which was gathering a lot of attention last season before it was eclipsed this year by the ongoing power struggle in the team. But with the Aussie yet to score points 3 races into the season, it looks very unlikely that he'll be into consideration for a potential Red Bull seat in the future, something that was his goal from the beginning. Not only that, but apparently the Red Bull executives are so fed up with him that they've offered him an ultimatum, and should he not complete it, then it could signify the end of his F1 career. But why go back when it didn't work out for the first time, and should the Honeybadger see out his F1 career as a safe pair of hands in the sister team? The most excited people when Danny Ricciardo came back were Netflix, without a doubt. You can see the production company's delight in the 6th season, where Ricciardo's 2 returns are granted 2 episodes. But this was no Netflix exercise, as the Australian became one of 2023's biggest stories with his return to replace the ousted Nick de Vries at what was then called AlphaTauri, plus his own second return, latterly from injury following his crash and broken hand at the Dutch Grand Prix. Now in 2024, Ricciardo remains central to what should be one of the biggest off-track talking points of the new campaign, but can he return to the Austrian side after these 3 races? It's crucial to how Ricciardo returned to the racing scene following his tenure of over 2 years at McLaren, during which Lando Norris consistently improved in the Papaya car. Ricciardo's behaviour noticeably shifted, and despite McLaren's overall slump in 2022, Ricciardo deliberately pursued a distinct path upon his return to Formula 1. His focus has centred on improving his fitness levels off the track and ensuring proper recovery from the physical demands of racing. The second significant aspect of Ricciardo's 2024 journey intertwines with the very complex driver market of the 2025 season, now further ignited by Hamilton's move to Ferrari for the upcoming year. Initially, the market seemed relatively stable following contract extensions for Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris with Ferrari and McLaren respectively in late January. However, Hamilton's decision significantly complicated matters for many other drivers. In Ricciardo's case, the impact was less pronounced compared to others in terms of his options: either remain with RB or return to the Red Bull team he departed in pursuit of a lucrative move to Renault in 2019. However, the latter route now presents a considerably more intricate scenario. Staying with RB as a long-term team leader appears mutually beneficial because Ricciardo can focus on honing his skills as the committed professional he aims to be in this second phase of his career. Additionally, the risks of losing his position are minimised as less is demanded from Red Bull's secondary team. Yet all this hangs on improving upon their recent finishes of 9th and 8th places in the Constructors' Championships, prompting Red Bull's management to scrutinise the returns on their investment in an F1 second team more closely. RB, a team experiencing growth fueled by a surge in major sponsorship, recognises Ricciardo as a valuable asset. However, they also acknowledge the potential of his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who so far this season has shown much better results than the Honeybadger. Ricciardo doesn't believe there are any known differences between his and Tsunoda's car, for example any kind of weight disparity as sometimes arises, but he intends to, as he says, keep asking questions and make sure that he's got something he'll think is capable. The RB team will take a close look at the car, and it might be that there's something that's still not quite right that's holding Ricciardo back. Certainly the Australian hopes that is the case, but given his struggles in recent years, there's still a big question mark about whether the limitation might be a driver who is still struggling to get the most out of the car and recapture the sky-high level of his F1 display. But a major twist in Ricciardo's tenure happened after the Australian Grand Prix, where Ricciardo disappointed yet again, finishing P12, while his teammate Tsunoda scored points for the second time this season in just the 3rd race. Helmut Marko apparently sent out an ultimatum to Ricciardo in which the Honeybadger must score points in the upcoming 2 races in Suzuka or say goodbye to the Faenza-based team. Look, Ricciardo is having a difficult time, but is it time to take him out of the car, the team, and his career? The team must have set some targets and objectives to measure where they expect Ricciardo to be after various races. If he doesn't meet those, then yes, maybe they should stand him down, but they shouldn't sign him off after just 3 races, unless that was an agreed criteria within the team. With Sergio Perez finding performance with 2 second-place finishes already this season, Ricciardo is already losing ground in the race to put himself at the forefront of the conversation to drive alongside Max Verstappen at Red Bull in 2025. Taking Ricciardo's place would be Liam Lawson, whose performances during a 5-race substitute stint in 2023 left a lasting impression on the team. The New Zealander managed to secure 2 points and even outqualified Verstappen in Singapore. Lawson is held in high regard internally at Red Bull and is considered the most promising candidate to replace Perez in the long run. His standing within the team surpasses that of the current RB duo. News of Ricciardo's potential ultimatum does not come as a surprise given Marko's public criticism already this season. After the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, he stated, "Ricciardo will have to come up with something soon." Then in Australia, Marko doubled down on his public critiques, telling Sky Germany, "There's a lot at stake for Tsunoda and Ricciardo. Both might be hoping for a seat at Red Bull, and one should be well ahead of the other. So far, Ricciardo is a bit behind. But let's put it this way, Tsunoda's qualifying speed is okay, but in the race, both are too slow." Ricciardo openly expressed his intention to return to Red Bull midway through last year, even though he was aware that Verstappen would likely remain his teammate, given his contract until 2028. Ricciardo doesn't seem deterred by this prospect or the possibility of assuming a clear number 2 role, as previously suggested by Red Bull team principal Christian Horner in mid-2018. Carlos Sainz, who previously performed well alongside Verstappen at Toro Rosso, now seeks a new seat due to Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari, and while it's expected that Sainz might join the soon-to-be Audi team for 2026, he's exploring all options at the front of the grid. The possibility of Sainz rejoining Red Bull is complicated by his history with the team, marked by occasional friction during his time alongside Verstappen. However, Sainz boasts a stronger recent F1 record than Ricciardo, especially considering his performances alongside Leclerc at Ferrari. Should Ricciardo improve, that would increase his chance to be a partner of Verstappen in the future, mostly because Tsunoda is closely connected to Honda as a Japanese driver, and it is to be expected that he will leave the Red Bull family after 2025. The question is whether Ricciardo will survive that long in the sport. If Marko is to be trusted, and he is a known figure of being ruthless, then the Australian driver will have to give basically 110% in order to get as much as possible out of the car that he has at his disposal. Because on the contrary, it might very well signify an end to his F1 career, and I'm not talking about being demoted to a reserve driver yet again. The main threat to Ricciardo's desire for a perfect return to Red Bull and to conclude his F1 career there stems from the current instability within the team. While Horner's admiration for Ricciardo is evident, particularly in recent behind-the-scenes footage, this sentiment was apparent even a year ago when Ricciardo was the team's 3rd driver. Horner had then expressed his eagerness to help Ricciardo regain his form. Red Bull is unlikely to make any driver decisions for 2025 until the long-term team principal is confirmed. Regardless of how this saga unfolds, Ricciardo recognises that the best way to secure his dream ending in his career is to perform exceptionally well in his current position. Do you think Ricciardo might improve drastically enough to convince Helmut and Horner to get him in a seat next to Verstappen? Let us know down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.